the 60s when I moved here, we came here, I was pastoring a church in Owensboro, Kentucky, and I come here and there was a little shotgun shack sitting right here, and right facing this 2 rooms. We moved our furniture, stored it in it, and we traveled as evangelists. And then when I came up in the field, I was just in and out, you know. Sometimes we had a trailer that we pulled on the field working in evangelism, and we'd come here to get out of that old trailer every once in a while and get in there and make us a bed on that old furniture. And, you know, just, it was a change. And after that, this house was for sale out in the country. And I bought it. I think I gave $250 for it, I think.
Wow.
And it cost about $4 something to move the thing. And it was just these right here, these 2 rooms, and that room, and there wasn't no bath. It was just an old farmhouse. And then I reworked it like it is now and built onto it some at the back. And we've been in and out as pastors. We pastored all over Louisiana and Tennessee, evangelizing all over the place. And I worked as a carpenter too. I'd always thought that I could work and pastor small churches. Of course, you know, in a larger church I couldn't have. But it took all my time. And in Owensboro, we had 5 rest homes, 2 hospitals, and the church was pretty large, and I didn't work out there. But when I moved here, I'd take a small church, and there was quite a few of them here then, but they all closed down now. They all went to bigger, larger churches. In the city, I worked for Harvey Stallings, who had a lumber company up here, and I worked through his lumber company, you know, repairing and building. And then I went to Louisiana and worked about a year but she stayed here a while, and then we left everything here and we just rented an apartment down there, and then we'd come home, you know, over the weekends, and we was building a housing project like this out here. And the city had a bank, they had a bank down here in town, and they were good. All I had to do is I traded cars down in Louisiana, and I called the manager of the bank up here. I said, I'm going to trade cars down here, and I said, you going to finance it? He said, go ahead and write a check, I'll take care of it. I said, you mean you going to trust me with that? He said, yeah, go ahead and write a check. So like I said, it's been good to me. Of course, I took care of it when I came home. And otherwise, they were a lot less people in the 60s here. And just a small, everybody, I guess, well, it's a lot different. Of course, now, you know, there's more people moving in we don't even know. And the older people that we knew, I told her the other day, I said, they all in the rest homes are dead. And it's the younger people. I was sitting I drank coffee up here with a bunch of the guys at that little store up here. And I sat there and I said, what's the all young people coming in here. The older ones are gone. That we used to drink off, a whole bunch of us, just to have a good time, you know, and talk. And we enjoyed that, and I still enjoy just a few. But Lake City honored me here a while back with, they gave me a citation, you know, for what I'd done here. And then the TV station come down here and interviewed me and took a picture and put me on TV. And they remembered that and remembered my service and at the meeting here in Lake City. And John, the mayor, he's a good fellow to me. You know, of course, a lot of times everybody don't like everybody. I wished it would be like that right here, but it isn't. But I like everybody myself. I don't care who they are. I like them, and we've just had a wonderful time. The people have been wonderful here in Lake City, and whether we belonged to their church or went to their church, it didn't make any difference back in that day. Mr. Doak, who used to be the principal over here, our superintendent at the school, he was a fine guy. And I know we moved here, and when I took this church, I pastored this church down here twice, the Assembly of God. And when I moved here from out of Russellville, down here, and my kids two of them had not graduated up there, and they just like that little bit of a year graduating. I talked to Mr. Doak about it, and he said, he looked on his curriculum up there, and he said, yes, we can finish them out here and graduate them. So I brought them down here, and I thought, well, now that's a fine thing. Of course, I didn't like but just, I don't know, a few months. And they graduated over here, and my daughter Brenda was the last one. She married a boy from Black Oak, Davis, Larry Davis, and he's a preacher. He's passing the church down there, and it's been, these people here in Lake City, you couldn't ask for any better people. Now that's my idea. Now, everybody might not agree with that, but I do. So I think Lake City is a fine place. I really do. The mayor's doing a fine job, and all the aldermen and all the rest, they're all just doing a fine job. And I can't pray. I just praise them for what they're doing. And even we went to, she went in the ditch, and the city pulled her out. Yeah, she missed, well, what she done, she missed the driveway down here, below here, and she was going to turn in, and she just got a wheel over the ditch, and the city come down and pulled her out. And this little lady over here works for the farmer's market. I told her about her running in the ditch. She said, you know what? She said, us women we're kind of prone running in the ditch, so she must have run in one somewhere. And of course, I don't know. I like everybody. The new bank over here is fine. They're just fine people to us, and do anything that we have to be done or want to be done. And the doctor, she went to the doctor here a little while, but Christy hadn't got the equipment, you know, to really, so we just take her out to Jonesboro when she has to go. But the people, they come in, want to go get our groceries, and this Miss Armstrong lives right over here. She brings us over a bowl of soup every once in a while. They're just fine people. Anywhere you go here, you might find one or two somewhere, but we don't pay no attention to that. I was in the Army, and you want to know the division was, well, I was in anti-aircraft. I was drafted from Osceola. I went down from Osceola, and they sent me to Fort Bliss, Texas. And it was anti-aircraft, and then they had out in another part of Texas, they had another base that was infantry. And the infantry couldn't take the infantry. The boys in it just wasn't able to do it. So they took us out of the anti-aircraft, put us in the infantry. They said, you guys can make it. And they did. Boy, it was rough. And then they shipped us overseas, left New York, and it was cold, raining at night. Of course, you know, they had to hide everything back in that day because too many spies. And we landed in Liverpool, England. And then from there we went to the 9th Infantry Division. And they signed us to that and put us right straight on the front line, face to face with the enemy. And that was something terrible. And some guy came over last night we talked about it. But then I was in a part-time occupation over there after the war. And we occupied, and then we come home. If you had get so many points, they'd send you home. And when my points come, they sent me back home, and I was discharged in Fort Chaffee, Fort Smith, and I come home. But I also served in getting the Army ready. In fact, I was in it. They were going to send me to the Pacific after the war was over in Germany. We call it ETO, and the European Theater Operations there. And they were getting ready to send me over to Japan, and they dropped that atomic bomb, and that stopped me from having to go. And but but the war was terrible, terrible. When I seen also, and a lot of the people here, even in America, doesn't believe this, but I seen it. Where Hitler was burning the Jews and other people in the incinerators, where he'd take them, pitch them in there and burn them. Their ashes, their bones. And it's not pleasant to talk, about it, but I've heard people say, oh, that didn't happen. Hitler didn't do that. I said, was you there? No. I said, well, I was. I seen it. I know what's going on. And but still, it's hard to make people believe. Of course, young people like you all, and somebody asked, well, why did you go? Why did you fight? I said, well, look at these young people. I said, if they could have been under Hitler, they could have been. Y'all could have been if it had not have been for the war, And that wouldn't have been a pleasant thing to do, I'll tell you for sure. And of course I've seen too much. And he even had a deal going that he was going to raise up a super race of people. And he was going to use blonde-headed girls and blonde-headed men. And their children would be blonde-headed, and that was the German, you know, Vikings. We used to be Vikings, but they're German name now. Anyway, all of that, and I thought, well, I'm glad I went. My daughter, I had 2 daughters and 2 boys, and they all dead but 1 daughter. And I thank God that he pulled me through. And we had, in the infantry that we were in, out of 10 people, 7 died. Only 3 survived. And I happened to be in that number 3. And so I give the praise to God. And this town has been really good to me. I appreciate it very much. And they'll do anything you ask them to do around this old house. I know it's not nothing good, but it does us. And that's not the point. If I got a place to sleep, eat, warm and dry, what else could a man ask for? When I slept in the mud, the ice, and snow, lay down in the snow and had 2 blankets and a sleeping bag. That's all the cover you had outside. And you can't stay warm in that, because you crawl in that old sleeping bag with your muddy shoes and all of that. I remember when I was wounded, and they sent me back to the aid station, carried me back, mud all over. I look like a mud turtle. And that nurse came by that morning after I got there, and I was laying up in that bed all dirty and nasty. Hadn't shaved, and I don't know when. I looked like a wolf. And she said, I'm going to give you a bath, okay? And she washed. It's funny. She washed my feet, she washed up to here, and she stopped. And she washed, she come up here and started down, stop here. She said, I ain't gonna wash down there. Excuse me for being plain, but she said, you can wash yourself. And of course I was all tied up, bandaged. So we managed to do it. And then they put me on a train, sent me to down through Belgium, and put me on a plane and carried me to England, put me in the hospital, and I was in the hospital when they dropped that bomb. That stopped, and they was fixing me up to go to Pacific after I got out of the hospital, but I didn't go. That bomb stopped Japan, and we stopped Germany, and they said, boys, y'all made a history, said y'all fought this war, said this is the war to stop all wars. And we hadn't had much peace since. if somebody's been fighting over there in that country all the time. But it's my experience in the Army is I think I helped keep this country free, and we're enjoying the freedom of boys. And all a man has to do, a person has to do, is go over to France where D-Day was and look at the rows of little crosses. 10,000 boys died that when we invaded France there at that landing, and could have been worse, but Hitler made his mistake. He thought we was going to hit up above there, but we didn't. We hit there. It looked impossible, and really, I don't know where it was right or not, but General Eisenhower said if it fails, said he left a note on it. I wrote a note on his desk and said if it fails, the buck stops here. It's my fault. They were the one that planned it. So, but it didn't fail. But we lost 10,000 boys right there. That about a couple of days. Young, average age. When you look at those crosses, how old they were, and average it out, they average out 19 years old. 10,000 of them. No, they didn't have a life. I'm sorry. I better hush on that. But it's been terrible. Girls, don't ever think that it wasn't a sacrifice. Those boys made a terrible sacrifice just to keep America free. And let's don't let her down. Just don't let America down. I know things happen that, it is happening now that it's not good in America. And of course we all know that. But there's still some wonderful people in America. And we have the best government in the country. I mean, I'm not talking about politics now, but the government it gives you freedom. You don't have to have somebody knocking on your door at night, at midnight, and taking you out, and you never hear of you anymore. And at least we're not now. But I say this, I'm glad that I'm serving a God that's able to do all things. And he can keep this country free if we will serve him. I do a little preaching. But anyway, that's the way I believe it. And I appreciate you young people. I know what life is bad, but Lake City, it's a good place to live. I know there's things happen here that used to wouldn't have happened. When I came here, of course everybody it was small, wasn't large like it is now. And everybody knew one another. And they went to, and they didn't argue and fuss over their religion or anything like that. And regardless of who you was, if you needed help, they'd help you. And they still will. Regardless of who you are or what church you belong to, if you need help, they'll help you. That's Lake City, and I'm glad that I live here. Amen.